What's up, guys? So this video is going to be on the supply chain disruption that we're experiencing all across the economy, not just in auto manufacturing, which I'll get to. And we're also going to talk about China and Hollywood and how China's actually used Hollywood as a weapon, much like America used to. So first and foremost, I think I want to get into the supply chain disruption. And I don't think people realize like how deep this thing really goes. And we'll start off with cars. So a lot of people don't know that we have chips in cars. And I know that sounds crazy, but since 2006 and above, we've been using chips in cars, and that's even your car key, right? So if you have a car that's 2006 and older, chances are your key has a chip in it, and when you put it in the ignition, it reads that chip. And that's a problem because since COVID, there's been a chip shortage. And well, the reason for that is we had a set amount of supply for auto manufacturing. We had a set amount of supply for computers and laptops and iPhones and whatever you have. And it's not just necessarily that China's evil and they want to take over the world, which I do think they want to do though. But what happened is COVID hit. All of a sudden, all these auto manufacturers are like, "Oh crap, we're in full lockdown. Let's chill out real quick. We don't know what we're gonna sell. We don't know what's gonna happen." Not to mention people that were making the chips, because China owns like 70+% of the chip market. They weren't going to work at the time, right? And plus the rest of the world wasn't going to work at the time. So that was already a shortage that was this happening of the workforce, right? And not just at the chip manufacturing, but all the way from, the mining the minerals it takes to make the chips and stuff, right? And at the same time, everyone was staying home. So naturally what went up was electronics. We had cell phones go up and the damn Pelotons and all the other gadgets that we all enjoyed for that whole year and a half, pretty much now that we've been home. So there was a switch. So that switch was like, okay, well, we're not making these chips, so let's make more chips for laptops because everyone's working from home, and iPads and, any other consumer item that was spent at home, the electronic item that you might have bought. So when that process happened, the chip manufacturers started producing more of those, and less of like the car manufacturing. And naturally, we're at a stage now where we fell behind, and now we need those chips for cars. Like Ford literally has F-150s, which are their most profitable truck, just sitting in a parking lot somewhere, just waiting for the damn chips to be made and shipped over. But now there's a lag because me as a chip manufacturer, or China as a chip manufacturer, said, okay, well, cars aren't coming, but these consumer goods are going, so we're going to switch everything here to make those chips. So those chips surged, and they're still continuing to surge because we're massively consuming those electronic goods. But at the same time, now the car companies are like, yo, we need our chips too. So now you have a classic case of huge demand for chips, not enough supply. And it's not even about the money, it's just the supply is just not even there, right? Like even if you wanted to pay double for the chip just to get it on, you're gonna have to give time for these supply chains to catch back up, right? So in my estimation, it's probably going to be about a year. It probably won't be until the summer probably the fall actually of 2022 until we're actually back on track. And the same thing goes for every other sector, right? Same thing goes for wood and raw materials all around, because guys, COVID happened everywhere, right? Like it wasn't just in America, also, Brazil got hit, the whole world got hit. So to bring these supply chains back on, it's going to take time. And of course, here in our local markets, we're experiencing, I guess a self-inflicted wound. I'm going to stay out of politics for this one, but, if you're making more money staying home than you are going to work, chances are you're probably going to want to stay home. Well, if you're deciding to stay home, then where's all the stuff being made, right? Where's the services coming in? So if I owned, if I was Intel and they had a plant here, but we can't get people to come to work because they're like, hey, I'm making more off of unemployment than I am of actually working. So that ends up being another problem, right? And I think that we're in for a rude awakening when it comes to supply chain disruption. And it's just going to take time. It's going to be a lag. And that's one of the problems we're seeing with inflation. It's not necessarily straight that the Fed's printing money. That is a problem too, and that we're printing money, just paying people for staying home. But it's also, you know, you just don't have the goods. So naturally, you're going to have to pay more for those goods. And moreover, it's even the cost of moving the goods, because there is literally tens and thousands of tongue twister, truck driving jobs open, but truck driving companies cannot get employees to come in and drive the damn trucks. So even if we got that there and we needed things to get moved, there's no one to move them because people don't want to go back to work. These are the problems that we're going to have to, address. And so what's the concern here? So what does it matter to you and what's it matter to your money? You're going to see short-term inflation creep, but I don't think it's going to have an impact, like the Weimar Republic or like Zimbabwe, where we're going to see hyperinflation. I don't see that. I do see real double-digit inflation possibly happening, possibly, depending on how things shake out. That's why I'm waiting till September, until all those federal programs get cut back, and then we really have to rely on, are people coming back to work? And then if they are, then what are the prices going to be then? But I don't see us staying in the low, 2%, 3%. I think we're in the 5 or 6% real inflation, and I think it could creep up to 9, 10, 11%. But I don't think that's going to be something that lasts, for this whole decade or even for the next couple of years. And I think the stock market's already taken a huge hit with those fear expectations. I mean, they say, how much cheaper can it get? And it could get a lot cheaper, but it's something that we're all kind of aware of. But I don't think we were aware of the actual logistics, tied into what's causing this inflation, what's causing these shortages. And naturally, when you have shortages, you're going to have higher price, right? It's just, if the demand's high and the supply's low, price is going to go up. But I think eventually we'll get to an equilibrium again, and it could be as late as, like I said, in a year and a half. And now to switch gears into what I was talking about when I posted about that military ad, and people were like, had a pretty good conversation with a gentleman. I think the thread's still up about, I'm not saying that there's not room for everybody in the military. I'll make that very clear. If you're willing to lay your life down for me and my family, I got the utmost respect for you. I don't care what color you are, what gender you are, whatever you are. If you're America first and you're willing to protect, me and my family, then I'm going to show you the utmost respect, right? Regardless of whatever. Now, with that being said, the whole point of me posting that video, when I saw it, I was like, okay, I see what's kind of going on here. And this also ties into the John Cena thing. It's, China has effectively did what America, took another page out of our playbook, where they've weaponized Hollywood. So to start with the John Cena, and I'll tie it into the military. So the Xena thing was like, for most people that don't know about Chinese history, they got in a big fight amongst themselves. Mao and, Japan invaded, and it was like the Prince of China or whatever he was. He left to Taiwan because he got his butt kicked. We backed him. We didn't want communism, but communism prevailed because Japan pulled out. And Taiwan is its own country and claims to be its own country, but then China says, no, that's a part of our, that's a part of our nation. And also ties back into chips, because they're the second biggest producer of chips. So it is very crucial that we keep Taiwan independent. Now, China is also the biggest funder of Fast and the Furious. Cena is now a lead actor in the Fast and the Furious. And I guess the only person that can see Xena is China. That's fun. But, so the dude got in trouble for saying, fucking, what did he say? He said some shit like, it's going to be the first country to get access. And obviously China doesn't want to hear those words, because if we're giving it legitimacy that it's a country, it makes China look bad, because they're saying, no, it's not a country, it's a part of China, right? And so he had to walk it kind of back. But if you've noticed that, why is it that a foreign entity is investing in blockbuster Hollywood American movies? Is because to protect their image, and it's to protect the way that me and you perceive or view China, and not just us, the whole world does. And if you look at the ads that they put out in the military ads, they have once again used cinematography to their advantage, make themselves look better. And this is just the truth about life. Perception is reality. How you are perceived by the world and by your friends and your family and your coworkers, it doesn't matter. That's who you become. right? And America did it the best, especially during the Cold War. I mean, think about it, guys. Like the Rocky movies and all the other movies, every bad guy we had was a Russian guy, you know, and it was just like, oh, and it got us into our head, like, oh, those are the bad guys. America's the good guys. We weaponize Hollywood. And when you allow another nation like that to be able to use cinematography at its peak, in a sense, where it's only showing China in a positive light and not China, but the CCP, the Communist Party, in a positive light and not the reality where they're locking people up and harvesting their organs, then, you know, that's a bad thing. And the fact that Cena apologized and said all that, that should also be alarming to us, because it just shows how much power does China have over our celebrities, and how much power do celebrities have over us. And if you think, well, that's not me, I don't care about celebrities. Well, I'm not talking to just you. I'm talking about the masses, and the masses do care about what celebrities say. Whether me and you are on another level, and we're like, yeah, we like watching movies and stuff like that, but we're not going to care which way Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie or whatever they are voted, or what they think or what they say. But the masses do. They have influence. That's why you got influencers, right? So like, it is intertwined. And that's how China gets to use Hollywood as a weapon, because it's only going to paint the CCP in a positive light, and anything that's negative about it, it will take out. And it's always trying to show itself in a position of power. So perception becomes reality. If we perceive China as almighty and strong and tough, then eventually they're going to speak it into existence, which they are. Like, I mean, there's no doubt that they're a formidable, rival, right? Like, I mean, they got the biggest population. Their economy's booming. It's probably going to overtake the U.S. and economic output. So they're a legitimate threat. But America's secret was Hollywood, but I feel like it's slipping. If you got someone that's your own, part of your own country, especially someone like John Cena, that's supposed to be like, America and, like all the stuff that, I used to watch wrestling. So, he was all about the troops and this and that. And in my opinion, China and Russia are our biggest rivals. He's bowing down to China. What is that reception? What is that perception perceived to the rest of the world? Like, oh, wow, they made John Cena fold. I mean, I know it's just John Cena. Like, I know for everybody else, it's like, dude, he's a freaking, he's a wrestler. Like, what are you talking about? But it's not just him. It's the idea that if Hollywood, or if China could influence Hollywood that deeply that they could get him to apologize, in seconds, then what other projects are they going to get their hands on? And how much more influence are they going to have on our culture, on the way we think, and the way that we view the world, and how the world views us? So these are some of the things that you got to be aware of, that I think we got to not just take at face value, and you have to deep dive and you have to look further into. And, hopefully we're all smart enough to be able to make our own decisions. We don't need, celebrities to think for us. But like I said, guys, I'm talking about the masses here. So I hope you learned something about the logistics problems that we're facing, and how Hollywood is used as a weapon. We could go into a deeper conversation later about it. If you want to hear more, just drop a comment. We could talk, and I can make another video about it. But that was just kind of what I wanted to wrap up the last 7-8 days. I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't had time to make a video. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching if you've still been watching now, and please share this video and help me grow the account.